Properties of angles, lesson 22, example number 4. Find each angle measure in the figure below. Well, before we do anything, first thing I'd like you to do is go ahead and shade in your the middle there, like I have it shaded in purple. And then what I would like you to do is I would like you to write down the 3 things that we are looking for. So shade in your triangle and then write down the 3 things we're looking for. Go ahead, pause your video to do so. Okay, when you are given this problem here, the first mistake a lot of students make is they want to think that this is the same as the problem that we did up here. Do you see any parallel lines in example number 4? No, there are no parallel lines. Therefore, we can't use the same method as we did up here. Right? Instead, we're going to use either vertical angles, linear pairs, or triangle sum. Right? So if I look at this figure, okay, right there are vertical angles. C and E are vertical angles. F and D are vertical angles. H and the 155 are vertical angles. A and B are vertical angles. They share vertex and they're across from one another. Again, we've got G in the right angle, FD, CE, H in the 155, and A and B. They are vertical angles, and vertical angles are congruent. So if you know one of those angles, you automatically know the other angle measurement. The next thing we're going to use are linear pairs. Remember, linear pairs are 2 angles that form a straight line, and linear pairs are supplementary. So those 2 angles make a linear pair. A and H make a linear pair. H and B make a linear pair. The given angle and B make a linear pair. D and E make a linear pair. F and E make a linear pair. C and F make a linear pair. C and D make a linear pair. Okay, so 2 angles that make a straight line, that would be your linear pair. They're going to add up to 180. So if you know one of the angle measurements, you just take 180 minus that measurement to find the other angle. And the last thing we're going to use is called the triangle sum. And you should have learned this a long time, that the sum of the interior angles of a triangle is 180 degrees. So what I have over here shaded in purple is a triangle. And we know that this right here is 90 degrees. But if I take 90 plus B plus C, they would all add up to 180. So the 3 angles, the 3 interior angles of a triangle add up to 180. Now you do not have to write this down, just follow along. Okay, so I have 3 different right triangles here, okay? And all the angles add up to 180. All of them add up to 180. Well, if I look at this, what do those 2 add up to? This is 90 degrees. What do the other 2 add up to? 90 degrees. What do those 2 add up to? 30 and 60 is 90 degrees. What do those 2 add up to? 17 and 15 is 90 degrees. Why did I show you this? The reason why I showed you this is if you have a right triangle, that means that one of the angles is a right angle. If you have a right triangle, then the 2 angles that are not the right angle add up to 90. So B and C are complementary angles. B and C are complementary angles. So I want you to write that down here. I want you to put angle B and angle C are complementary angles. They add up to 90 degrees. Okay? All right. So we're not going to worry about filling out what each measurement is. The only thing we're going to do right now is we're going to find the measure of each of the angles on the figure, and then we'll go from there. All right, let's start with the easiest. The easiest to find is H, because 155 and H are vertical angles, and vertical angles are congruent. So that means angle H is 155 degrees. Well, the next angle we're going to find is either going to be A or B. Let's just use A. Those 2 angles form a straight line. If they form a straight line, that means they are a linear pair, and linear pairs are supplementary. So I would like you to put linear pair, which means they add up to 180. So 180 minus 155 is 25. So angle A is 25 degrees. Again, these two lines right here are a linear pair, which means they are supplementary. They add up to 180. So 180 minus 155 gives me angle A. Well, angle A are vertical angles. Vertical angles are complementary. So if angle A is 25 degrees, that means angle B is 25 degrees. All right, let's go to angle G. Well, anytime you have two lines that intersect, if one of the angles is 90 degrees, that means all of the angles have to be 90 degrees. If one is 90, then they're all, because they are perpendicular lines. Perpendicular lines, when they meet, form a 90-degree angle. So all of the angles are 90 degrees. So angle G is 90 degrees. Okay, let's now find angle C. So again, angle B and angle C are complementary. So to find the measure of angle C, I'm going to take (90) minus 25. And 90 minus 25 is 65 degrees. 90 minus 25 is 65. Well, C and E are across from one another. They are vertical angles, and vertical angles are congruent. So if angle C is 65 degrees, then that means angle E is also 65 degrees. Really having trouble with my fives today. There we go. All right, the last thing to find is angle D. Well, these two angles right here form a straight line. That means they are a linear pair. And linear pairs are supplementary. So go ahead and put linear pair. So I'm going to take 180 minus 65, and 180 minus 65 is 115. So angle D is 115 degrees. And since D and F are across from one another, they are vertical angles. If angle D is 115 degrees and vertical angles are congruent, that means angle F is 115 degrees. All right, we found our measurements. Now, if you were doing this on your own as an assignment, would I expect you to write down the words linear pair or complementary? No. But I do expect you to write down the subtraction part so I understand where you got your measurements. Okay? So pause your video, get all of that written down. Okay, now it's time for our final answer. And our final answer is to state the measurement of each of these angles. Well, the measure of angle A is 25 degrees. Let me just go through all of these and then you can pause the video to get it all written down. The measure of angle B is 25 degrees. C is 65 degrees. D, 115 degrees. E, 65 degrees. F, 115 degrees. G, 90 degrees. And H is 155 degrees. Go ahead, pause your video, and get that written down. If you have any questions on example number 4, let me know. Thank you.